Hello everyone, in this video we are going to learn how to divide polynomials, and we have 3 examples to do. Our first example, we have a trinomial divided by a monomial. When you're dividing by a monomial, it's usually an easier question. So there's only one term on the bottom here. To divide by a monomial, we'll take the first term and divide it by the denominator. Then we're going to take the next term, which is a minus 12x to the third, and we will also divide that by the denominator. Then we're going to take the third term and divide that by the denominator. Now, simplify these 3 fractions. 4 over 6, you simplify like any other fraction to get 2/3. X to the 5th divided by x to the 2nd, well, when you divide, you subtract the exponents, and the bigger one's on top. So on the top, you'll have x to the 3rd because 5 minus 2 is 3. Then we have minus 12 divided by 6. Divide those like you would any other numbers to get 2. And when you divide, you subtract your exponents. 3 minus 2 is 1, so that's just x. And 6x to the 2nd divided by 6x to the 2nd is equal to 1, because anything divided by itself is 1. So there is your answer. Again, dividing by a monomial is pretty straightforward. However, we will also divide by binomials. And to divide by binomials, when we have 2 terms on the bottom, we have to remember how to do long division. So first, before we do long division with polynomials, let's redo a long division with just numbers. We have 7,371 divided by 3. To start, we're going to ask ourselves, how many times does 3 go into 7? Well, 3 goes into 7 twice. Or you could say 7 divided by 3 is 2 with some change. So the first step, we divided. 7 divided by 3 is 2 with some change. Next step is to multiply. Take 2 times 3 to get 6. Then we subtract. 7 minus 6 is 1. Finally, we bring down the next number. And now we repeat the process. We divide first. 13 divided by 3 is 4, because 3 goes into 13 4 times with some change. We multiply, take 4 times 3 to get 12. Subtract 13 minus 12 is 1. And bring down the 7. Then we repeat. Divide 3 into 17. Well, 3 goes into 17 5 times. 5 times 3 is 15. Subtract 17 minus 15 is 2. Bring down the 1. 3 goes into 21 7 times. 3 times 7 is 21. And we have 0 for a remainder. If we had a slightly different question and we had a remainder, so let's say that we had a different question. Let's say we had a 0 here instead. Oh, sorry. Let's say we had a 2 here instead. Then your last step would have been 22 minus 21, and you would have had a remainder of 1. In that case, you would have written your answer with a fraction at the end of 1/3, because 3 is what you were originally dividing by. Now that we have done a problem with long division of numbers, let's learn long division with polynomials. This question says to divide the following polynomials using long division. First, we're going to set up the problem using a division bracket. On the inside of the division bracket, we're going to put the numerator of the fraction, which is 3x to the second plus 20x minus 9. And on the outside of the division bracket, we're going to put the denominator of the fraction, which is x plus 7. On the right side here, I am going to show some work. You don't have to show this work when you're actually doing the problems. This is just to help you know what I am doing each step. First step, just like before, we are going to divide. We're going to take the first term on the inside divided by the first term on the outside and get 3x. We're going to put this 3x on top of the division bar. Another way to get this 3x would have been to ask yourselves, x times what gives you 3x to the second? Well, x times 3x is what gives you 3x to the second. Notice that I lined up the x term with the x term. Second step is to multiply. I'm going to take this 3x that I just found and multiply it by the binomial on the outside of the division bracket. 3x times x plus 7 is equal to 3x squared plus 21x. Going to write that underneath the 3x squared plus 0x. After multiplying, subtract. When you subtract, 3x squared minus 3x squared cancels, and be really careful because this negative gets distributed to the positive 21x. So we really have 20x minus 21x, which is negative 1x. I'm going to say that again because that's so important. Distribute the negative to this 21x. So we really have 20 minus 21x, which is negative 1x. Then bring down the next term. And repeat the process. Take the first term on the bottom, which is your negative 1x, and divide it by the first term on the outside, which is x, to get negative 1. Put the negative 1 on the top of the division bracket. Now, multiply. Take the negative 1 you just got, multiply it by x plus 7 to get negative x minus 7, which you will write underneath the negative x minus 9. Now, subtract. Negative 1x minus negative 1x. Be really careful, two negatives make a positive, so negative 1x minus negative 1x cancels. Now, negative 9 minus negative 7 is a negative 2. Be careful to distribute the negative. Negative 9 minus negative 7 is actually negative 9 plus 7, which is negative 2. There's nothing left to bring down, so now we write our answer. Your remainder is negative 2, so we are going to write minus 2 over what we were originally dividing by, which is x plus 7, to make your final answer be 3x minus 1 minus the fraction of 2 over x plus 7. That's all I have for today. Thanks for watching. Please let me know if you have any questions. Have a good day. Bye.